Hey guys, it's Smashley. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time. And if it's your first time, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm super excited for today's video. As you guys know, September has been all about DIY home decor. But September is slowly but surely coming to an end, which means we're almost coming to the end of our home decor series. But not without one more room makeover left. So today, for our video, we're going to be creating some DIY bedroom decor. We're going to be doing two different DIY projects today. I have this beautiful boho ombre tapestry in mind, and then we're also going to be making our very own DIY chunky knit blanket for our bed. Make sure you guys stick around to the end of the video because I'm also going to be redoing all of my bed sheets, the whole bit, and really giving my bedroom a refresh. I think you guys will like the time lapse of that as well. To start, we are going to be doing the tapestry first, just because this is going to require a lot of dyeing. So I'm going to get prepared and we will get started. So I have this piece of plywood. I just picked this up at a craft store. It was already pre-cut. I liked it because it's super thin and it's natural wood, which we're going to be staining later. This is going to be the vessel that's going to hold all of our macrame cord. So I wanted to show you guys that. And speaking of macrame cord, I got this giant, I've showed you guys this before in one other video. I'll link it for you guys up here if you're interested in watching a wall hanging I did with it. But I got this giant thing of macrame cord off of Amazon. I will link it in the description box for you guys below as well. But I've already went ahead and pre-cut all of my strands. The piece of wood here is about 36 inches. And I just measured out, I think I want to do about 14 inches of cord on each side. And that basically equated to about 65 strands of this 5mm cord. First up is going to be dyeing. So I have all of our macrame cord here, but I decided to do 15 cords each of the 15 cords of each of the colors. I can't speak. So in order for the cord to kind of soak up the dye, I was just doing some research. It soaks it up much better if it's already been kind of soaking in water. So I just have a big pan here with some warm water, and I'm gonna let the macrame cord kind of just sit in there for a little bit. I took the 65 strands of cord and I split it into 4 groups. I did 3 groups of 15, of which we're gonna be dyeing here, and then I have one final group of 20 that I've hung back this way. We're leaving this one natural, and the idea that I have for the ombre is to do one black, one like brown, black in between, and then one just like a medium brown. And we're gonna be having the strands kind of next to each other to give that ombre effect. So I have the groups of cord here soaking in some water. I just wanted to make sure that they were fully saturated before we dump them inside of the color. So we'll let those guys continue soaking. Just gonna put on some gloves. This is probably gonna get messy. And for dye, I just have regular Rit Dye. You can pick this up pretty much anywhere. They do carry them at the craft stores, but they also have them in like Walmart and Target. So I picked up just a black, but technically it's called graphite. We're just gonna pour some in here. All of our colors in. So again, it's black, that brown black, and then we did a brown, even though they all look the same exact color. I went ahead and just knotted the cords here to keep my count. So I'm just gonna wring these out a little bit. Here we go. Okay. Instead of sticking my hands in there, I was smart and I went and got a kitchen tongs. Highly recommend. I put a decent amount of dye. It's really going to depend on how much cord you guys have in here, so just read the label, do some research online, and put as much as you see fit for the color that you want to get out of it. All right, I think I'm just going to move these to the kitchen, let them sit for a while so that they can soak up the dye, and then all you do once they're the color that you want them, you dump out all of the dye, of course, and then you're gonna rinse it under cold water until the water runs clear, and that's how you know you're good. Then I'll probably hang them up to dry, and once they're done, we can continue. Next up, we're gonna be staining our wood. So I'm just gonna use this same provincial stain from Varathane. You guys saw me use this in the photo ledge video. I don't have much of it left, but there's a tiny bit, and I think enough to definitely cover this. all of the furniture in my bedroom, which you guys will see is like a dark brown color. And I wanted it to be brownish, but not an exact match, if that makes sense. So as always, I just have like a little cloth and you just pick up some of your stain and we're just gonna wipe this on. Well, this is about the color that I wanted. I'm gonna bring it a little closer for you guys to see, but I don't want it to drip on my floor. It is a little bit more wet than what I like, but I want it to be a tad bit darker, so I'm just gonna let the stain dry a little bit, and then once that's all said and done and our cord is dry, we can really get going with this piece. Well, everything is fully dry now, for the most part. This is how our dyed cord came out, and I'm absolutely obsessed. So I left this one natural, like I told you guys at the beginning. We did a lighter brown, a darker brown, and this was supposed to be more on the black side, but we got like a nice charcoal gray going on. I'll take it. Now essentially what we're gonna do is, this is how the board came out too, by the way, so you guys can see. I went ahead and just made a couple marks. I measured 14 inches in on both sides, so I have a couple marks there. That's essentially where I'm gonna stop gluing the cord on one side. We're gonna start with all of the black, then all of the dark brown, medium brown, and then get over to our natural one. So what we'll do is, I'm just gonna take all of my cord here. And I don't know if I mentioned, but I think I measured these out to almost 5 feet. I think I did a good 56 inches, but it's enough space to fit above my bed where I'm gonna put the piece. So you'll notice like once you go through, they kind of get a little bit frilly. You will end up cutting that off. I would glue from right underneath the frill onto your board. And I want to get as close to the edge as possible without it being shown on the opposite side. So all you do is just make a little line of glue. And just stick it up there. Take two, scratch that. I got a new glue gun. I don't know how to use it yet. We're gonna go back to our old and faithful. So, as I was saying, all you do is take one of your strands and you're gonna line it up with the edge. So I want it about there. And you're just gonna lay some glue down. And we're just gonna push in our cord. Okay, and it's as simple as that. I'm gonna keep repeating the process. I'm just gonna keep going until I hit that tick mark that I made, but you wanna space them super close together, or at least I do for the design that I want. Now that we have all of our strips glued on, you're gonna start now with the first string that we did. You're gonna put it underneath or in front of the rest of them. And I have this little tick mark right here, and that's gonna be the start of our other 14 inches. And we're gonna do the same pattern, but basically backwards. Okay, and then you're going to take the second one, same thing, we're going to put it in front, we're going to glue it around. Next up is our chunky knit blanket, and I'm so stoked to make this, you guys. I wanted to make one for so long, and I actually was in Hobby Lobby last week, and I got a really, really good deal on this yarn. It was like 40% off, I want to say. This one is by Yarn Bee. The shade is Eternal Bliss. I'll bring that closer so you guys can see, but it literally feels like heaven, or what I imagine heaven feels like. But essentially, you can use any 8-ounce yarn that you find. Seriously, guys, all that you need for this is your yarn and a pair of scissors. Personally, get as many bundles of yarn as you guys see fit for however big of a blanket you want to make. I chose to grab 6, so I'm just going to keep making it until I run out of yarn. The very first step you want to do is take the end of your yarn, and I'm going to wrap it around my hand. So it kind of made a little bit of a loop. You can see that. And I'm gonna kind of pull the loop through, and I'm gonna grab through it the feeding piece of yarn, and then I'm gonna pull the beginning part of it. We're gonna create a little loop at the top. This is gonna be the start of our blanket. So this is our loop. Now, from here, what you want to do is take the feeding yarn, or the feeding skein, we'll use the actual term, and you just feed it through that same loop. So I'll do that again for you. So I'm going to bring this to this side. I think that'll make my life a lot easier. So we have our main loop. Take the feeding yarn, and you're going to pull it through and make another loop. So now we have 2. So here's the first one we started with, and here's a second. This is gonna serve as the top of our blanket. I'm gonna make 20 loops across and then show you how we kind of move down to the next row. The one thing I will say, as you're going through, because it is gonna be a repetitive process, try and be as close to the same size loop for each one so that our blanket has some consistency. So I think I wanna do about that size. And then again, you just grab the feeding yarn through, make another loop. All right. Once you've hit your 20th loop, or however many loops you want to do across, essentially what we're going to be doing is creating the width of our blanket with this row. The next thing that you do is grab the feeding yarn through that last loop, and we're going to make a new loop, but kind of facing downward. So do you see that? And then now I'm going to move my yarn to the other side of the table, because what we're going to be doing is feeding it that same way underneath each loop all the way across. Again, make sure that you keep consistency in the numbers. So we're going to do 20 loops across. So this will be number 1. And then we feed it through again, facing downward. Number 2. So 1, 2. And then again, you just want to keep the same consistency in how big each of your loops are. So once you have your second row all the way done, all you do is continue taking the loop or the feeder yarn here, and we're gonna make a new loop or a new row out of the existing row, and we're gonna be going back the other way. And essentially, we just keep repeating this process until we completely run out of yarn. Now, once you've ended up all the way on the other side again, the side where we did not start with the loop, you're actually going to do 2 loops. One to finish this third row, and then one to start the next row. So there's 1, and there's 2. and then continue with the process. Now we finally reached the end. So guys, just to give you an idea, this is what 1 8-ounce ball of yarn will end up doing for you. All you do is take the tail end and we are going to tie it to the tail of a new ball. I want to tie it pretty tightly. There it is. And you're going to grab your scissors and you're just going to cut off the little tail ends on either side. There's one. And there's 2. And you're just gonna keep going. I promise you guys, you won't even notice. All right, you guys, this is how we're looking for our blanket and it feels amazing. I absolutely love it. So I finished all 6 balls of yarn that I had. I just want to show you guys how we create the edge at the end of your blanket. So I only have a little bit of slack left, but what you're gonna do is ignore that. We have our 2 loops on the same side where we finished off our pattern. What you're gonna do is take the second to last hoop and we're gonna pull it under the front hoop and just pull it up. Then we're gonna take the 3rd hoop and do the same thing. 4th hoop, we'll go through that. And we're gonna do this all the way across the edge of the blanket. You will notice it's gonna create this really pretty braid, very similar to how we started. So you just keep pulling through. And then the last one, I would just recommend looping it around until there's like no more slack left on here, just because this is the final loop. And it's the corner of the blanket, I promise it won't be noticeable. So there we go. And for this one, where we left off, you're just gonna tie a knot. And then whatever's left, you can kind of just weave in through the side. Again, you won't be able to tell. That way we don't have a little blunt edge. I'm gonna show you guys how big this became. Again, this was 6 balls of yarn. I think I got them on a pretty good discount. So if I'm remembering correctly, maybe 25 bucks for the blanket total. Here she is. This is just the fluffiest thing that you've ever seen and it's the best. Highly, highly recommend you make this. All right, now all that's left to do is to make up our room. So I'm gonna bring you guys over to my bedroom and I'll show you guys how we style all the new stuff we made. Well, you guys, that is it. This is the final reveal. Go ahead and put a quick comment. How do you guys think everything turned out? Personally, I'm in love, but I had this beautiful idea in mind. I'm so happy with how everything came out. I'm making 1 million of these blankets. Honestly, if this tutorial was easy enough for you guys to follow, you should have a blanket making party. Had the time of my life, absolutely love. And I feel like I've seen this at Target, that like Casa Luna brand, and it's like, I don't know, over $100. And like I said earlier, this was maybe 25-30 bucks to make. The tapestry, honestly, I could probably use a little bit more practice, but I love how it came out. I didn't show you guys, but I just took a couple of like picture hooks and added them to the back so that we could keep it flush up against the wall. But I think it just brings everything in the room together now. I absolutely love. But I thank you guys so much for watching. As always, please give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you guys in the next one.